Hello, everybody. Hola, soy Timmy Eutimia Cruz Montoya of Muse Medicina, and I am here to talk wellness with you. If I stop trying to do the things. Hey, everyone. I'm doing my best to set this up. So give me a moment. All right, I think I got it. Okay, hey. It came to my attention. I'm trying to restructure my social media game because it's a game like America, like it's all a game. And I want to make sure that I am being accessible in the way I value. So I'm going to start a Wellness Wednesday holistic platica. And what that means is just like a space for y'all to ask me questions. We can do DMs, and I actually have an intern now, a beautiful young lady who can help me siphon through my mom life to make offerings more accessible to everyone. So for those of you who may not have the time or the money or the fuck yes to have an actual one-on-one personal reading, you can ask questions, send them in the DMs, the email, and I can explain things holistically. So I know many of you probably already know my background, but just a little bit is I am a lineage-based hands-on healer and pasista from my maternal lineage. Pasista means like working with energy, working with releasing things from the body and the surrounding the body. I don't know how better to explain that. And I'm also a licensed acupuncturist, traditional Chinese medicine doctor. And I started studying Chinese medicine at 18. I am currently 36. So I've just got almost 20 years of Chinese medicine experience clinically, and 30 plus years of actual hands-on healing. I am also a seer, a channel, a medium, a singer, a dancer. I was raised doing danza azteca. So I have a pretty large breadth of body medicine, source medicine to share with you all. And I can address pretty much anything that you might have ailments with. I can at least give a different perspective on how that is affecting you, on how you can affect you. So more than anything, I am an agency advocate. Some of you might have seen me blowing up the medical industrial complex, etc. This isn't because I believe that there is not medicine that can be valuable there. It's because I believe that there are profiteering few who are steering people away from their own agency to heal themselves for the profit. And that's political. So y'all can ask me anything. So I just want to leave it there. If any of you have any questions off the bat, any symptoms, we can talk about it. While you are thinking about that, what you'd like to ask, I just want to talk about my approach to healing. So I say that I harmonize the four pillars of wellness. And to me, that means the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical pillars of wellness. So if you come to me as a patient, chances are I will address all of these. And in addressing one, the rest will follow, and vice versa. I can start with spiritual or start with physical. It just depends. And more often than not, or actually in my experience always, our physical ailments are rooted in our spiritual disalignment. So that is how I treat. So we've got a question. Let's go ahead and look. Thank you all for joining me. Question says, how do you treat heartburn that's caused by dysbiosis without telling someone to take a lot of antibiotics? So if dysbiosis, in my understanding, just means not assimilating. So if you'll please define that for me in this context, I would be helpful. Heartburn, honestly, the first thing that comes is diet. Okay, if we're eating a bunch of acidic stuff, we're gonna have problems with heartburn. When we talk about anything having to do with nourishment is about receiving. Okay, so on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, even on an unconscious mental level, we want to understand what our relationship to nourishment is. Are you force feeding yourself a bunch of stuff that you know isn't good for you when you're rushing? Okay, there's a question. Do you have mama issues? Okay, like, it was your mother unavailable to you emotionally, where you literally didn't have a mother who could not feed you pecho or breast milk or not? Questions we want to answer about that. What are the foods that you're eating? Unfortunately, in the United States of America, we have the standard American diet, aka SAD, which is full of a bunch of processed foods, mostly from Franken foods, like wheat and corn, that are naturally inflammatory because of the Roundup in the seeds, which is what do you call it? Pesticide, kills the bugs. There are a lot of different ways to unpack this. And as a holistic practitioner, it is not in my, I am not responsible by giving blanket information. You deal with this by this, because maybe someone's antacid or acid reflux started with a bad breakup. Maybe you're fed up with a relationship. Maybe you only started eating a certain way because you got divorced and lost your source of income. Okay, there are so many reasons why one would react this way, okay, to in your body, based on mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects. So there is a lot more to uncover about it. But I can tell you how to further research yourself. So I would take note, when does this happen to you? What did you just eat? Who did you just see? What is your general diet like? Are you somebody who eats just whenever? Do you have a regimen? Do you have too much of a regimen? Are you rigid about what you eat? Are you someone who keeps taking things out of your diet and not dealing with a deeper emotional issue of you don't feel worthy of nourishment? There's so much here to unpack. I hope that helps. Antibiotics is a whole other different story. They are used a lot and rampantly for things that could be healed without them. I would encourage you to look up anti-inflammatory foods. Okay? All right, let's see. I was told I have H. pylori, but they tried to get rid of it with antibiotics, but they made me insanely sick. Okay, H. pylori. H. pylori is a bacteria. From a Chinese medicine point of view, H. pylori is cold, okay? So we look at things as qualitative, and antibiotics are also very cold. That's why they can be extremely effective medicine on hot, painful, swollen things, which are the signs of heat, okay? So like we use herbs with high berberines, like very orange, bitter herbs, because bitter drains. But if you have a toxin that is a cold toxin, you add more cold to it, it's going to F you up even worse. Okay. So I would wonder what you're eating. Now, yeah. I would have to see a lot of things, including what your tongue, etc. is. If you want to know specifically more about your own, how you're presenting, I would encourage you to make an appointment with me. You can find that in my link tree, or go to a Chinese medicine doctor, okay, or an Ayurvedic doctor. Go to a holistic healthcare practitioner who doesn't just have like 2 tools to use for everything. Okay, because I have reflux and it's affecting my throat. Daddy issues. So I would start with those daddy issues. Okay, start with the nourishment. Why can't you stomach stuff? Where is that coming from? What types of physical ailments do you imagine being common during the times because of what is coming up collectively spiritually? Thank you for that question. That's an amazing question. What kinds of spiritual ailments or ailments in general would be coming up because of our collective place? When COVID started, lung stuff, grief. Okay, and that plus all of the socioeconomic, the whole white supremacist patriarchy, the whole post-colonial slavery genocide, everything is why the COVID has disproportionately hit the elderly and Black and brown bodies, because of this unassimilated grief and anger at our own disconnection from ourselves. Again, this is a lot bigger conversation. Everything I say, I encourage you to take what serves, leave what doesn't, research different things, look up different healers. I am here to be a vessel of information for you. I am not here to tell you how you live your life. I am here to offer a different perspective. And the more perspectives we have, the more we have to choose from when choosing our path of healing. Okay? So lung stuff, liver stuff, fatigue kind of issues, anything that is like overwhelm, too much. I know for me, a lot of anger has been coming up, specifically around the idolization of a bunch of problematic humans who are running for president, all of them, and how especially people of color want to have faith in a system that's never been here for us. That makes me really fucking angry, but I don't have any solutions for it. My solution is doing the best I can here and with you, and supporting my local artists, supporting my local healers, supporting my BIPOC community members who have their own enterprises. My answer is keeping my money and my resources outside of the system, including the school system, including the medical system, including the political system. That's my answer. I would love to keep that growing. Yeah, I have so much to say about that, and my mother would completely disagree with me because she's a history teacher for many, many years, and is like, and I come from activists, right? So my family on both sides like fought in the movement to have the rights we have and voting, etc. But I'm still seeing it as extremely colonial, and we could talk about that for days. All right. Hi, Marcelino, long time, bro. All kinds of inflammation. Yeah, inflammation's a thing. Yeah, you totally can. Go ahead and make an appointment. It's in my link tree, and you'll see there consultation or tarot reading. I just have one thing right now, and it's pretty much talk to me about whatever you are going through, and we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to move this phone, and I have some on my other device. Thank you for your labor. I have always had issues with swollen glands and lymph nodes in my throat. Aside from allergies, they swell pretty randomly. They will even cause a small fever sometimes. Any thoughts on that? Okay, lymph in our bodies is how we, the lymph is what carries the white blood cells to heal us. Okay, inflammation is actually a healing response. So when we have inflammation, we know that our body is doing something to heal us. Now, my question to you is, what are you taking in your body that is causing an inflammatory response? The general culprits are sugar, greasy foods, processed foods, pastas, cheeses, anything from the industry. So anything made out of industry wheat, industry corn, anything that has corn syrup, anything that has hydrogenated oils, anything that has chemicals, like unnatural chemicals. We can look at it as alkaline versus processed. Okay, so people are on this like alkaline diet kick. Alkaline really means that it is not inflammatory. It has a basic pH. Basic, not as in a basic bitch, basic as in low acidity, or negative acidity as opposed to positive acidity. I'm not a chemist. I can't really explain it that well, but my question is, what are you eating? So for myself, I'll just use myself as example. I get inflammation the way it shows up in my body, because everybody's body is different, and different people having the same kinds of bacteria or viruses in the body might present differently. So for me, the heat and inflammation in my body shows up as mouth sores. Like I'll get little owies on my tongue and in my mouth. And that is something I can pretty much count on and bet on in my own human physiology. The way I counter that is, as soon as I start feeling them, I cut out coffee, I cut out chile, I cut out grease, and I switch to like pretty much steaming vegetables and drinking anti-inflammatory teas. So I learned how to do that as a lifelong student of traditional medicine, of holistic healthcare, to be an agent of my own body's presentation. We are all capable of being agents of our own body's presentation, because we're the only ones who live in our bodies, okay? The most amazing, sophisticated, degree-holding doctor person can tell you something, and it will completely not work for you because they don't live in your body, okay? Everybody who you reach out to for help is only a guide, should only be a guide for you to listen to your own damn self. Now, if it's around your throat, there are other questions. What do you have to say out of anger that you are afraid to say? Why are you scared to speak your truth? Who in your life can you not speak your truth to? Okay. I should steam vegetables more. I eat everything raw. Okay, so if you're the H. pylori, raw vegetables are cold. Yeah, I would even say grill vegetables would probably be great for you. Drink hot water for no reason. I love that you brought that up. I had a client with H. pylori and had all these digestive issues. When I lived in China for a while I was studying Chinese medicine, and literally everywhere you can't walk a block without a place to just get boiling water. They have boiling water stations everywhere. You put it in your soups, you drink it by itself, you put it in tea, because hot water is healing. Okay, so I would say if you just start drinking hot water 3 times a day, that could really help your symptoms. Simple things that the complex and are moving away from our ancient understanding of bodies. Simple things can really help us. Okay. Super angry all the time and get swollen nipples too. Yeah. So I highly recommend to a lot of my patients to sing, and even cursing when all the racial uprisings started happening. One of the things I did to transform my anger is put on Rage Against the Machine and stomp and scream when my child and my husband were away. So that I could release some of that shit so it wasn't living in my body. Because here's the thing, if our emotions are stuck in our body is our messenger, and our body's gonna wild the fuck out if we don't. Does that make sense, y'all? Okay. You're so welcome. So I'm going to take this time. If you're benefiting from my content, it would really mean a lot to me for you to share it, for you to pump me, for you to leave me a testimonial on my page. And if you feel comfortable and are able, you can monetarily support me. Cash App is Muse Medicina. PayPal is eutimia@gmail.com. And Venmo, Eutimia-Montoya. 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 It really helps me. It helps me keep my money in the comunidad. I am constantly supporting mostly women of color enterprises doing all kinds of fucking cool shit all around everywhere. I love to trade for my work. Okay, so like if y'all don't have money and you're like, yo, but I got this kick-ass thing I made, hit me up. Like, let's talk. I am all about keeping our resources in community. So however way you can uplift me, I super appreciate it. Thank you. Orale. Hi, Garden Queen. Hi, Maria. Hola, queridas. You're so beautiful, all of y'all. Future Perfect. What's up, homie? Long time no see. Yes, you can all make appointments with me. It's all on my my website. Okay. I've literally had all of what you just described within the past 2 days. Yeah, sad diet. Hi, Terrence. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you. I'm so excited to see you when you come back. Hello, Susan. Oh, I was thinking about you. I'm sad I missed the Rick Center reunions. Okay, does anybody else? Hi, Leslie, hermosa linda. I miss you and your mommy already. Anybody else have any questions for me about anything health related? Like I said, I can give you a different perspective on most, if not all things. I don't want to get all ahead of myself and be all egoic about it, but Chinese medicine's fucking amazing. And so is it, like, when we can, I have a thing where I know shit, you know. Some of y'all are like that too, where you just know shit. Trust yourself and speak your truth, because a channel that is not channeling becomes a swamp. Are you being toxic because you're not sharing your truth? All right. You are giving me so much hope. That's great. At least some things like that. Yesterday I was like, there is no hope. Fuck the candidates. Fuck America. There's no hope at all. I'm like, put your hope in your gente, y'all. My gastroenterologist sucks and told me to take PPI 3 times a day. What's PPI? I don't know a lot of these acronyms in Western. I stay really far away from Western medicine, and I don't think that's necessarily great, because it disallows me a bridging that I could be, but there are other people who do that. I do the holistic thing, and that's just how I roll. Yeah, drink some hot water. See what happens when you drink that hot water. Antacids. Yeah, because H. pylori is cold, so you don't want to make it more cold. It makes it worse. It aggravates it, right? So even like if you feel your panza, I'm all sweating, chi sweat. If you feel your panza, you can probably feel it cold. Think about that. And then I'm guessing that your intestines are probably hot. You can feel it. Oh, thank you. Proton pump inhibitors. I remember that from Chinese medicine school. Now I remember. Now I remember. Okay, anybody else have questions? Happy Wednesday. Wednesday wellness. Eczema. Oh, there's a good one. Okay, somebody said, what herbs do you recommend for brain issues, high intracranial pressure? So brain issues, that's another thing. Again, I'm not a responsible practitioner if I'm like, you can do this for this, when I haven't done a full differential diagnosis. And what that means is ask you about your history, ask you about your food, ask you about your emotions, ask you about your pain, ask you about your sex life, ask you about your childhood. Okay, there are so many things I need to know as a holistic, as in a whole human body practitioner, in before I can be like, do this or do that, if it's something that involves like chemical constituents that can really shift things. Like herbs aren't going to kill you, but herbs can make you sick depending, right? So I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is food, because food is something we all need. So one of the worst things the industry has done based on profit and politics is made us believe in this myth of high cholesterol. Okay, now not all cholesterol is created equal. So the things with the hydrogenated oils, or what we call trans fats, are the fats that are already hydrogenated. Means that the free floating hydrogens in a volatile bond are already taken up. The bond can no longer break, because that makes how do I explain this in layman's terms? It makes the fat uncombustible, which makes it shelf life safe. Okay, so rotting food is really chemical combustion happening. It's shifting based on the fact it combusts. That process also happens when we eat food. Like our saliva changes the chemical composition, so then there are floating hydrogens from these volatile bonds that our bodies then are able to chemically connect to and turn that food into blood. Okay, so when we're eating processed foods that are hydrogenated, it means that our eating them does not bust them and break them up, so it cannot turn it into food that we metabolize. That is why if we have diets high in trans fats, there's cholesterol composites in our arteries, aka congestive heart failure. Okay, it's when we eat these intense trans fats. Now in industry meat, because of the corn diet, there's way more trans fats. Some saturated, aka trans fats, are healthy for us. So what we want to do is eat healthy fats, LDLs in avocado, in coconut oil, in grass-fed pasture-raised meats, in happy eggs. Okay, we want to eat happy meat. If we eat meat. If we don't eat meat, we want to make sure that we are getting full proteins. A beet is a full protein if you're a vegetarian. A coconut is a full protein. If you look up pairings of vegetables for full proteins on Google, you can find the different types of vegetables you have to eat to create the full protein. Okay, we want to make sure that we're getting healthy AF fats, because our fats, our good cholesterol is what coats our brains so that the synapse flow is easy. Okay, so our brain power actually runs on healthy fats, as does the elasticity in our body. Okay, all the low fat industry does is adds a bunch of motherfucking sugar to shit, and actually not even real sugar, corn syrup. I saw the other day, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was fat-free half and half. The reason why half and half is bomb is because it's fatty. Okay, the reason why whipped cream is bomb because it's fat. Okay, if you put sugar with fat, but if you take out all the fat, you have to put extra sugar to make up for the loss of flavor. You know what the first ingredient in the fat-free half and half was? Guess. Corn syrup. Fake ass laboratory bullshit sugar. Okay, you don't want that shit in your body, y'all. Inflammatory. All right. So look up what are good sources of good fats for you to put in your body, and don't believe the bullshit around low fat caca. Okay, don't buy anything low fat. Don't buy, I can't believe it's not butter. Don't buy fat-free yogurt. Don't buy fat-free shit, because it just creates extra sugar. And you know what sugar does in the body when it doesn't have fiber to act as a buffer? This is something I learned. I can't remember one of those movies, but your liver is right here, and your liver is responsible for metabolizing toxins in your body. Sugar without fiber, aka fruit, is seen as a toxin because there's no buffer for the way sugar works, for the chemical constituents of sugar. So what your liver does, because it can't deal with that much sugar at once, it creates fat deposits to store the sugar in for later. So obesity is a sugar thing, okay? Because it's storing the fat for later, storing the sugar in the fat for later. So actually, if we're eating healthy fats, we are we're keeping our body in homeostasis. Moles and sunspots. It depends. Somebody asked, what are my views on moles and sunspots? I think I would have to know more about that question. In Chinese medicine, moles are viewed as extra. So like I have a mole right here on my chin, and the chin is the will. It's a water element, and moles. This is my left side. I don't know if you guys are seeing me backwards or not, but this is my left side, and left is connected to the right brain, which is the more intuitive spirit side. So my spirit has strong will. Okay. It's been interesting now that I'm getting older. It's like disappearing a little bit, but I used to have a really strong mole. You can still kind of see it right here. But that's also my left side. And your nose is a metal quality. It's like going in. So I was much more in the spiritual realm when I was smaller. Now that I'm older, I'm like out more in the world, right? What do I eat in the morning? Honestly, in the morning, I eat leftovers from the night before because it's the fastest and easiest thing. But when I lived in China, the biggest meal of the day is breakfast. Like there's no such thing as breakfast foods. They had congis or porridges, but they also had like all kinds of eggs, all kinds of meats, all kinds of vegetables. So I usually eat, like this morning, I ate leftovers, plus morning breakfast sausage, chicken jalapeno sausage. And me and my man love that stuff. And I had wild rice and sweet potatoes and a homemade curtido, kraut, that I made with purple cabbage and cumin, because I love cumin. That's what I had for breakfast this morning. What is my position on appropriation of healing art? Like you are practicing Chinese medicine. What has been your journey with that? That's a really good question. I've had really intense, come to Jesus's moments about my practicing Chinese medicine. Now, the crazy thing about my journey with Chinese medicine is that I had a mentor who was a Jewish man who my mom met at Lakota Sundance as a Chicana in the civil rights movement. And he was the medic. He started the street medics. I don't know if you're familiar. His name's Dr. Ron Rosen. He's one of my dear teachers. He's now an ancestor. He crossed federal lines to provide aid to the Lakota people during the siege at Wounded Knee in 1973. So he was my first Chinese medicine mentor, and he was a brother, friend, Sundance brother to my mom, like as in they Sundance together. And for those of you who know what that means, it's a big deal. So he's how I got into Chinese medicine. Around the same time as I started dating a Chinese person at Stanford. So it just kind of like, I never thought I would be a Chinese medicine doctor. I never planned it. Creator just put me there. I do have thoughts about the fact that Chinese medicine school was kind of co-opted by communist China in the Cultural Revolution in the 1950s. And then there was this connection between Nixon and communist China. And that's how Chinese medicine came to the United States of America. But my mentor, Doc Ron Rosen, got into Chinese medicine because his grandfather, he was like a circus performer who went by the name The Mighty Atom, ATOM, check him out. He escaped, I'm sorry, my geography is not great, but in the European history of the Eastern Europeans who were Jewish and there was oppression there, he escaped at like 12 years old and ended up in Asia and just learned all this Chinese medicine stuff. And that's why he was a circus performer, because he was the kind of dude who could use his chi to like pull trains with his teeth and stuff like that. So my views on appropriation, and this is something I learned from Theo Wilson, who's a brother in the community. Theo E.J. Wilson's definition. He said, appropriation is when the dominant class takes the culture, etc., of the subordinate class for the purpose of entertainment and profit. Más o menos, that's like the definition. Whereas assimilation is when the subordinate class takes on the culture of the dominating class for the purpose of survival. Okay, so appropriation is when people with means exploit cultures, okay, based on whatever their privileges are, because they don't give a fuck. So there's a lot of nuance in there, right? Because then there's mixed blood people, like I'm mestiza chicana, and my blood is of the Apache, Comanche, Tarahumara, Picuris, Dene, with a bunch of Spanish and French colonizer, and I'm a light-skinned one, right? Like, I have immediate family who's a lot darker than me, but that's just how Chicanismo is. Like, there's some of us are light and some of us are dark because we're all mixed bloods. So I've definitely had people question my medicine and question me in the indigenous realms when I do ceremony, etc. And I was given the ceremonial ways through my maternal lineage at birth, right? Like, I didn't come upon this at 30 and decide I was a curandera, right? I was grown into these ways, and here I am doing this healing work that was given to me. So when I learn from other people, like Indigimama is one of my greatest teachers, Maestra Sisi from New Mexico, Natalín, Comadre, I name my teachers and I honor my teachers. Okay, and that's something really different than somebody who appropriates a bunch of bullshit and acts like it's theirs and makes a bunch of money off of it, right? So there are a lot of nuances, and really to be in integrity, there's so much that goes on internally. And if you're in integrity with your teachers, that's something that's individual to that relationship. I could go on about that, but I encourage you, if you're questioning what your role is, I encourage you to talk to your teachers. If you're ever scared to talk to your teachers about what the fuck you're doing, then you're probably not in integrity. Okay? Can muscle twitches be caused by stress and anger? They can be caused by a bunch of stuff, but from a physical standpoint, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, you're probably not getting enough vegetables or magnesium. These earrings, thanks. These were a gift from my comadre de Mexico, and they were actually for my mom, but my mom gave me all of her beaded earrings when I was like 18. She's like, here, Hita, I'm too old for this. So when I was like, hey mom, do you want these? She was like, and I knew she wasn't gonna wear them, and I knew they were probably gonna be mine, but I had to be in integrity and be like, hey, these are from the comadre, they're for you. And she was like, here, Hita. I was like, thanks, mom. Thank you. I love them too. All right. I'm going to do one more question, y'all. One more question. I love you too, Ninoshka. What herbs do I recommend? Okay. Eczema. Terrence wants to know. Hi, Tia Gail. Terrence wants to know about eczema. So eczema is, in Chinese medicine, the skin is related to the lungs. It's like the biggest organ, right, on our body, and it's directly related to the lungs, like our immunity. It's our wei qi. Wei qi meaning our outside qi or defensive qi, right? So when we're having skin issues, I would ask a bunch of things about grief, about anger transforming into grief, because sometimes maybe the anger is from something that you lost. You're like pissed about losing something. So it's like grief and anger enmeshed together. I would ask questions about the nature of the eczema. Is it dry and itchy? Is it dry and painful? Is it oozing and painful? Because that says something. If it's oozing and stinky, then that's like a toxic dampness, right? If it's burning and dry, that's like dry heat. And those would be treated differently. So dietarily, you would do different things. If it's dry, you would want to eat things that are mucilaginous, that are offering of cool, wet to the body. If it's hot and or if it's oozy and stinky, you would want bitter herbs, bitter dry herbs that drain damp heat. Okay, it just depends. I would also want to know, where is it on the body? If it's on the elbows, heart. Okay, connected to the heart. If it's on the flanks, liver. If it's on the back, could be heart, could be lung. If it's on the face, depends on what part of the face and what part of the body that's related to. Some questions to ask if you have eczema. What am I not releasing that has to come out on my skin? Also, something coming up is, how are you shielding yourself? Because it's about wei qi, right? So maybe you don't want to be seen. Maybe you're like, F you. Maybe the only person you ever loved left and you're like, fuck love, don't love me. I'm going to show it on my face. Okay, it's Mary, the girl you met in Boulder at that restaurant a few years back. Oh, forearms. Forearms for, was it the Chinese restaurant? I'm trying to remember. Hi, Mary. Or the Thrive restaurant? Boulder. God, I'm such a chatty Kathy. I don't remember who I meet. But I appreciate you being here. Send me a picture. I'll remember your face. You're welcome, Terrence. I'm so excited for you to come home. Come home, friend. Come home. Okay, eczema on the forearms. So the meridians on the forearms, we've got the Sanjiao, or the highway, the interstitial fluid highway. It has to do with how you connect to people, who you connect to. We've got the large intestine. So we've got the large intestine. So I would ask questions about your digestion, your diet, inflammation. We've got the small intestine, like on the side. So I'd ask questions about your ability to choose what you want. Like, do you let people who aren't good for you hang around because you're scared to tell them to leave? The inside of the forearms would be our heart and pericardium and our lung. Okay, so loving people. Are you scared to love? Is there a toxic lover in your life? All different kinds of things. This is why this is holistic. Okay, guys. Oh my, neck and eyelid area. What are you not willing to look at? What are you not willing to see? What are you not speaking? For you, there's someone who's like always down your back, and it might be spiritual. You're fucking around in the wrong places. That's all I have to say about that. If you want a consultation with me, whether it's of a physical, spiritual nature, whether you want a tarot reading, please book on my website. If you are benefiting from my content, please support me by sharing this, by giving me ups in your testimonials, sending me messages that give me love. I appreciate your love. And or put it in my Cash App, Muse Medicina. Put it in my Venmo, EUTIMIA-MONTOYA. And put it in my PayPal, EUTIMIA@gmail.com. Any little bit helps. $1, $3,000, whatever you have. I got mad student loans. I'm trying to support a family. And I spend money in people of color businesses. Also, every new moon and full moon, my dear comadre Charmaine and I do ceremonies. And I would call them more healing circles. They're ceremonial healing circles, as we are both healers and ceremonialists. And those are donation-based. The link is in my bio, and that'll go up in the next couple of days for the new moon. Every Wednesday, I'm going to be doing this Wednesday Wellness Holistic Platica, a little chit chat where y'all can ask me questions. You can DM questions. My intern and I will pick a couple of them to go over, plus answering questions. And please tune back in tomorrow for Thursday Thunder reading. And I'll use the cards to be your channel. Hold on, y'all see what? Warrior, beautiful woman. Eczema on the hands. Hands are about offering and a receiving. So think about that. You also need to make sure you're eating enough mucilaginous foods like mallow herb, okra, tomatoes. Make sure that you are eating foods that tonify the yin of your body. Smoking is not helpful. And whatever else is going to come on more personal consultation. Okay, everyone. Muchas bendiciones. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.